Shalom, Israel, grace and blessings from God the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ be unto you. All praises to the Most High that we made it another week to another Sabbath day. At least it's pretty close to the Sabbath if it's not the Sabbath already. Let me check and make sure everything's functioning properly for y'all. I believe it is on my end. It at least appears to be. All right, so let me check and see about y'all's end. All right, y'all bear with me. How we doing? Let me check on YouTube. How are we looking? Okay, it appears to be all right. On YouTube, how are we looking? Praise the Most High. Let me check on Facebook. Should be the same. Should be the same. Let me check on YouTube. Appears to be all right. We appear to be doing all right. Let me go ahead and cut the phone off, or at least the sound, so there'll be no distractions or interruptions. I don't want to say that it's been like a slow news week because I don't necessarily think it has. It's just, and yes, the Iran conflict is not it's not stabilizing, right? It's only escalating. We've talked about that a lot. I don't necessarily want to talk about that this week. The state of Israel is still bombing Lebanon like crazy, like they plan on taking it. Pretty much have taken it already, right? So that's one of the things that's keeping the Iran conflict going, right? So we're not going to talk about that. There's plenty of things that have happened, but they all seem like small things that are building up to something bigger. Now we know the Most High has a plan in all things, right? His plan is unfolding. We do not quite know his plan to the full. We talk about the things that happen as far as the fulfilling of prophecy, right? But how it all unfolds, we don't really know, right? As far as everything that's going to happen, we don't know everything that's going to happen. Nobody has known everything that's going to happen, right? Ever, right? Even when it comes to Christ, who I would say is nigh omniscient, right? Knows nearly everything. Even he said he don't know the day or the hour when he's going to return, right? So like, none of us can even get to his level, right, where he knows just about all things, right? We so I just say that to say this. A lot of the things that I've heard about this week are just kind of like they feel like they're smaller scale things that are building to something larger, right? So we're not even necessarily going to get into all of them because there's been a lot. As far as there was I believe there was another election in Peru. I don't know the results of it. I haven't looked too far into it. I was trying to look for a follow up on the NVIDIA rollout because they were supposed to be rolling out robots to a plant in Houston, Texas that makes like I think chips. I think electronic chips. Makes microchips, and they were supposed to be rolling out robot workers to that facility in the first quarter of 2026, and we're already well past the first quarter. I have not seen any kind of update on that at all, so they're kind of keeping that close to the vest. I'm not like dug into it. I'm not a journalist, nor have I scoured the internet for any other journalists digging into it. But that was something I was trying to look for. I couldn't find anything on it. So it's something that has piqued my interest just because I see all the data centers being built and whatnot. Hundreds and hundreds of data centers are underway as far as construction is concerned in pretty much all the states, if not literally all 50 states, then very close to it. So I was wanting to give you all a follow up to that, but I couldn't find anything on it. Um, but what else? NFL draft, I guess, happened, which I don't care anything about. The the sports the sports thing. That's all Greek. That's all Greek mannerisms. It's not something I particularly care about. It's the Greekish fashion, the Greekish custom of the modern day, which is somewhat relevant because today is the day of Simon. We're going into the Sabbath, would be coming out of the day of Simon. I'd like to at least speak a bit on that, just so y'all are aware, because it does feel weird kind of doing it retroactively, because like I said, we're actually leaving the day of Simon as of tonight, but I also don't want to not talk about it, you know what I mean? So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. If we got time, which I'll try to make time for the day of Simon, talking about the day of Simon. But I'll talk about this. It says the police identified the body of one missing USF student. I guess that's University of Southern Florida. I could be mistaken. Second still missing as roommate is charged. Yeah, so Tampa, Florida. It says the body of a Bangladeshi doctoral student who went missing with his girlfriend from the University of South Florida was found on a bridge over Tampa Bay, and his roommate has been taken into custody, law enforcement authorities said on Friday. Zamil Lehman's remains were found on the Howard Franklin Bridge Friday morning, but Nahida Bristy is still missing. Hillsborough County Chief Deputy Joseph Maurer said. Lehman's roommate Hisham Saleh Abagarbe, 26, was taken into custody at his family's home nearby on preliminary charges that include unlawfully moving a dead body, failure to report a death, tampering with evidence, false imprisonment, and battery. He was expected to make a first appearance in court Saturday morning. We are still actively searching for Nahida, Maurer said, appealing to the public to share any useful information. Law enforcement dive teams were searching the bay near the bridge as part of those efforts, the sheriff's office said. And yeah, very, very possible, I suppose. This person dumped the body. Officers encountered Abagarbe as they responded to a report of domestic violence at his family's home just north of the campus and were able to move his relatives to safety, but then he barricaded himself inside and refused to come out, and it seems pretty guilty. A SWAT team responded, along with a drone, a robot, and crisis negotiators. Before Abagarbe came out with his hands up, apparently wearing nothing but a blue towel. This is a deeply disturbing case that has shaken our community and impacted many who were hoping for a safe resolution, Sheriff Chad Chronister said. While the discovery of Zamil Lehman's remains is heartbreaking, I want the public to know that our detectives worked and are working tirelessly and relentlessly to uncover the truth. Lehman and Bristy, both 27, were considering getting married, relatives said. They disappeared from campus on April 16th. Lehman was last seen at his home in an off-campus apartment, complex where he lived with Bugarbe. No, I'm butchering the name. Bristy, who lived on campus, was last seen an hour later at a campus science building. A family friend contacted authorities last Friday after being unable to contact either one, USF police said. Investigators spoke with Abugarbe, who is a native-born U.S. citizen, on Thursday, Mara said, but after initially talking, Abugarbe chose to end the interview. He said Abugarbe was speaking with detectives again after his arrest Friday morning. There are no other suspects in the investigation at this time, Mara said. An autopsy is being done on the remains to determine the manner and cause of Lehman's death, and those results are expected Saturday morning, he said. Well, it seems, and this is kind of jumping the gun a bit, but it seems a little bit open and shut, at least to me, which, of course, I'm not an investigator. I'm not involved in the case in any way, but buddy, Abugarbe seems pretty guilty. Abugarbe had been a USF student but was not currently enrolled. University records show he had attended the school from spring 2021 through spring 2023 and had pursued a BS in management. A university spokesperson said. What a title for a degree, huh? Liman was studying geography, environmental science, and policy, and Bristy is studying chemical engineering. Bourguiba had several previous arrests. The sheriff's office said he was charged with battery and burglary of an unoccupied dwelling in September 2023, and with battery that May. Both classified in court records as misdemeanors. Court records show Bourguiba entered into a diversion program for first-time offenders charged with misdemeanors. He completed the program in 2024, and the charges were discontinued. A phone call to his lawyer in that case was not immediately returned. Hillsborough County court records also showed two domestic violence petitions filed by a family member in 2023. A judge granted an injunction in one case and denied the other petition. He also was accused of traffic violations. Well, the traffic violations are very minor. All right. Okay, so the story was updated to say it was the deputy and not the sheriff speaking. And Lauer reported from Philadelphia, and Boone reported from Boise, Idaho. Anyway, so this, and when we talk about stories like this, I don't think necessarily this is connected to anything larger, so to speak. This might be, as far as this whole Rob Reiner thing, this may be, like Hollywood does some weird stuff. They really call it Hollyweird for a reason. It's all shrouded in mysticism and shrouded in all the fruity little clubs I talk about from time to time. It's shrouded in evil and mystery and magic, to be quite honest. Shrouded in all sorts of evil, all sorts of wickedness. So this could be any number of things as far as the Rob Reiner situation. And this is, the son of Rob Reiner. But I'm not necessarily going to get into this. I thought maybe we had time, but I really, like I said, I want to make time for the Day of Simon and talking about Simon, son of Mattathias. But it says the living nightmare of losing his parents. All right, O.J. Reiner. But anyway, the correlation between both these two is not super apparent, but as far as on the surface, but as far as the cause, it's always the Most High. Y'all gotta understand. Anytime anything tragic happens, it's the Most High that's behind it, right? Not necessarily directly, but still. When it comes to all things, He is the Almighty. All right. So we can get that here in Deuteronomy 32. I was just kind of going back and forth in my mind on what scripture to start with, but we'll go Deuteronomy 32 to start off with. All right. And as far as why, there could be any number of reasons. This young man, Bourguiba, seems to be pretty guilty in this case. Maybe it's a situation of jealousy. Maybe it's a situation of, he's just, sick individual. I don't know exactly what was the cause or the motive, but the point is, all things, all life, all death goes back to the highest. In Deuteronomy 32 and 39, it says, "See now that I, even I am He. There is no God with me," right? So there's not a God who does good things and a God who does evil things, all right? That's not the belief that's represented in the Bible. There's not, a God of the sky and a God of the earth. Like it's only one. It's the Most High, God of heaven and earth, right? He is the Almighty, all right? And it says, "I kill and I make alive," right? So that's every person that dies It was because God said they had to die. Every person that is born is because God said they needed to be born. All right. There is no way around it. All right. He said, I wound and I heal. Every wound you get, every scratch you get, every car accident you get into, that's the Most High. All right. Every bone you break, it's the Most High. Every wound you heal from, all right. Every bit of health that you get, every day when you wake up and breathe another breath, right? That's the Most High as well. All right. If we're calling him the Almighty and he's all powerful, then that means he has all power to do all things. All right. That's what that means. All right. There's no way around that. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. If he says your time is up, your time is up. There's nothing you can do about it. All right. I get this here in Isaiah as well, because Isaiah said the same thing. Of course, all the prophets got the same word from the same God, right? So they all speak of him in similar ways, right? They put in their own words as far as when it comes to how they describe things, but it's the same spirit. In Isaiah 45 and verse I'll start with verse 5. It says, I am the Lord and there is none else. There is no God beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. Right? So girded you as in like put your clothes on you. All right? That's what girded means in a literal sense. In a more metaphorical sense, I'm the one who watched over you. I'm the one who protected you, though you have not known me. All right? That they may know from the rising of the sun, that'd be like Japan, and from the west, we're in the west right now, the Western Hemisphere, that there is none beside me. I am the Lord and there is none else, right? But the expression from the rising of the sun and from the west, the whole world, right, may know the Most High, right? The Lord. There is none else. There is no other God, all right? I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things, right? So you got to think about, the time period that Isaiah was living in during the time period of the kings. It was very common in Judah and Israel. Though at this time, Israel had already been conquered by Assyria. But regardless, in the time period of the kings, within Judah, within Israel, it was very common for them to worship the Most High, right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Some brothers and sisters would say Yahweh, others would say Yahuwah, right? Or Yahweh, whatever. Worship him, but then they would also worship Canaanite gods and goddesses, right? Like Baal or Ashtoreth, right? Or other various gods that they would carve into trees or make out of gold or silver or whatever, right? That was the custom of the time, to have a pantheon of gods that you worshipped, right? So this is the idea that the Most High is casting down. Right? Because they would say, Yahweh is the God who delivered our fathers out of Egypt, but Baal is over the storms, and Ashtoreth is over fertility. And the Most High is saying, no, I do all these things. All right? The Most High is making it very clear. There is no God who does evil things and a God who does good things. I am the only God. All right? He's making it very clear. All right? So when something evil happens, right, like this guy who allegedly and apparently, killed this couple that he was friends with or knew of or whatever the case may be. I don't know exactly their relationship, but it's the Most High doing it. Now, for what purpose? That's up to him. That's not really our place to say. All right. And we talked about that before as far as any kind of man-made or natural disasters. It's not necessarily the fault or the reason behind it being, the victims. It's kind of irrelevant who it happens to. Things like that could happen to any of us. All right. What we should learn from it is to repent. All right. That's the only thing we can do. We can hear, horror stories, so to speak, and take heed and take a warning from it. All right. In Amos 3, and then I'll move on to the next story. Amos 3 And I'll start with 1. I'll start with verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, right? The 12 tribes, all 12 tribes, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities, right? We made the covenant with God that if we didn't keep his commandments, curses would come upon us, all right? We will be scattered to the four corners of the earth among all people. We will be put into captivity. We will be forced into other religions, right? And that's what happened, all right? He hadn't dealt with anybody else in that manner, right? He didn't make a covenant with anybody else, all right? Can two walk together except they be agreed, right? So keep this in mind. Can two walk together except they be agreed? Will a lion roar in the forest when he hath no prey? Will a young lion cry out of his den if he had taken nothing, right? Do lions just wander about? Not usually, no. They go and they kill the prey, right? They have a mission. They have something on the mind. They have a purpose. Can a bird fall in a snare upon the earth where no gin is for him? Shall one take up a snare from the earth and have taken nothing at all, right? So these things that happen, they have a cause and effect, so to speak, all right? There's an action and a reaction, all right? Shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid, right? The modern day trumpets, because trumpet is like an alarm. The modern day alarms would be like sirens. You have security alarms, right? Distress signals. Shall there be evil in a city and the Lord hath not done it? So look at what Amos is saying here. He's saying, look, is there any event that we can look at and say the Most High is not the one behind this? No. All right. That's why Christ pointed out in Luke 13. I keep referencing it. We read it a couple weeks ago, where he talks about what Pilate had did. Right. He said, were all these sinners above Galileans? Nay. But except you repent, you shall likewise perish. Right? And then he talked about when a tower fell in Siloam, and he said, were these all sinners above everyone in Jerusalem? No. Repent. Right? So that's kind of what we should take from this. But understand all the evil that's done in every city. It's the Most High that did it. All right? We need to understand he is the Almighty. He has the keys of life and death, right? He gave it to his son, Jesus Christ. So we got to understand that thing. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets, right? So he's not going to step in and intervene when you got, evil being done. All right? That's not what he does. All right? He's letting it play out, so to speak. He will bring judgment come judgment day, right? But when it comes to all the evil being done, he knows about it, all right? And he's done it, all right? Same thing with all the good being done. He knows about it, and he's done it, all right? As far as he sent his prophets out. He sent the one who help you, who heal you, right? He also sent the ones who hurt you. It is what it is. He made all things, all right? So, from there, I do want to talk about this because I am not really sure what's going on here. This is like some of the things that I'm talking about as far as like some of the little things that are happening that's building up to something else. I don't really have an answer for it. And I like to, give y'all answers, but it's just something that I've seen. Not necessarily everything, but I've heard about this for, past couple of weeks. And this is it says 12 U.S. scientists have gone missing or died. The mystery has become the talk and worry of Washington. Right? So it's actually more than 12 if you count, the count I've seen is anywhere from, like the low counts of like 10 to 12 all the way up to like 16, 17, depending on who you count, who you don't count. It says the 12 scientists who have died or gone missing all appear to have ties to nuclear or space programs, and in some cases classified projects. Rian Lubin delves into the cases. So let's take a look at this. This was on in Eastern time. It was so this is about, because I'm in Central Time, so this was about 9:46 this morning when this was put out. All right, something is up. Florida Representative Anna Paulina Luna warned her social media followers on X Who killed the scientists? Asked South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace. The Republicans are a growing number of lawmakers sounding the alarm about the 12 U.S. scientists who have either died or disappeared since 2022, and all of them appeared to have ties to nuclear or space programs and in some cases classified projects. I wonder who they're going to call on that happened in 2022, because 2022, I think the earliest case that I have seen was like in 2023. And that was something that people don't usually even include in these numbers. So we'll see who they include. If you're feeling uneasy about the amount of scientists that have gone missing, died, and recent suicides, reference those scientists. Those scientists and others, you are correct in your intuition. When it's post added. Yeah, I don't know. Ref those scientists. I don't know what was meant by that. But anyway, suspects have been identified in a couple of the cases, but the mystery surrounding the unknown has fueled conspiracy theories as sleuths have tried to make connections between them. Both Congress and the FBI have launched investigations, as there is still little information released about possible connections of the cases. Lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee are now investigating 10 of the cases, writing to the FBI, Pentagon, and Department of Energy this week to warn how these deaths and disappearances may represent a grave threat to U.S. national security and to U.S. personnel with access to scientific secrets. And that's been the speculation that I've seen, is that everybody who has died with those secrets, right? So if anybody is doing it, it would be like the U.S. doing it, right? Or like the CIA or whatever, Department of Defense, whoever you want to blame for it. But they all appear to be U.S. scientists who have worked, and what did it say up here? Nuclear programs or space programs. But really what I'm saying is like more like engineers with specific knowledge on whether it be UFOs or UAPs or like propulsion technology and things like that. But anyway, let's keep going. This is David Wilcock. Yeah. That was this week. When he died pretty much out of nowhere. They said it was a suicide, yet the last stream that he had, he was talking about how much like Jesus Christ brings life, and basically implying that like he would never do something like that. So that's what people have said. I have not seen anything but like clips of that. But anyway, we know there are many countries around the world that would love to have our knowledge and nuclear capabilities. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer told Fox and Friends, and these are the people that were at the forefront of it, and they're either dead or missing. All right, so that kind of implies that it's the U.S. doing it. All right. The rumor mill went into overdrive Thursday following the death of famed UFO researcher David Wilcock, who died by suicide on April 20th. The office of the Boulder County coroner confirmed Wilcock's death brings the total number of mysterious cases to 12. Police have ruled out foul play in some of them, and NASA has said there is no indication of a security threat, while families have dismissed conspiracies about their loved ones. President Donald Trump said that hopefully it is all just a coincidence, right? So a coincidence, which I don't believe in coincidence at all. I believe in providence, right? The difference is, coincidence is being, it kind of happened randomly for no reason, whereas providence is, the Most High dictated that it would happen, right? It's kind of just what I went through, right? All things the Most High has a plan for, and he is the Almighty. Nothing happens without His say or approval, right? But like, even if you want to say like coincidence, right? Coincidence is like 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying? And you're kind of drawing a correlation between, that maybe, yeah, I see how you're coming up with that, but like, it's just a handful of cases. This is like I said, 15, 16, depending on who you count and who you don't, right? Even this article says 12, right? That's way more than coincidence numbers. It says the Independent delves into the cases. 3 missing or dead California NASA researchers and a Caltech astrophysicist shot on his doorstep. Frank Mywald, Michael Hicks, and Monica Reza worked for NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and there's the propulsion system, while astrophysicist Carl Grillmeyer worked for Caltech's Infrared Processing and Analysis Center. All 4 were in the Pasadena area, just outside of Los Angeles. 3 of them are dead, and 1 is missing. Hicks, whose specialism, it's kind of weird to use that word. Even the word specialism is pretty weird. Anyway, Hicks, whose specialism was comets and asteroids, worked as a research scientist at the lab until 2022. He died July 30th, 2023, and the 59-year-old's cause of death was never publicly disclosed. Anyway, his daughter, Julia Hicks, told CNN that her father had struggled with known medical issues and said she did not understand the connection between her dad's death and the other missing scientists. She added that neither elected officials nor federal agencies had contacted her about her father's death as of Tuesday. Right. The cause of death of Maywald, a 61-year-old German-born researcher at the Pasadena-based lab, was also never disclosed. He died on July 4th, 2024. And so this is somebody that I have seen about, is Monica Reza. Reza, a 60-year-old celebrated material scientist, disappeared on June 22nd, 2025, after going for a hike in the Angeles National Forest. She was the director of the NASA Labs Materials Processing Group, and during the 90s, co-invented a nickel-based superalloy used in rocket engines. In the letter to the FBI, the House Oversight Committee cited a report that linked her work to another missing scientist, retired Air Force General William McCaslin. This is the guy that I've heard about a lot, actually, this William McCaslin, who disappeared from his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico in February. Reports have even alleged a direct link between Ms. Reza and General McCaslin, characterizing them as having a close professional connection through an Air Force-funded research program in the early 2000s pertaining to advanced materials needed for reusable space vehicles and weapons. GOP Committee Chairman Comer and Representative Eric Burleson wrote in the letter to FBI Director Kash Patel. On February 16th, renowned astrophysicist and astronomer Grillmere, 67, was shot and killed on his doorstep in the small rural town of Llano. One of the scientist's notable discoveries include discovering water on a distant planet. Freddie Snyder, 29, was charged with Grillmere's murder and was not believed to know his victim, which that's odd. That's very strange, because we just read about a case where, guy went to the same school as this, couple that was about to get married, maybe even had a friendship or like stalker relationship with, I don't know exactly, but there seemed to be some sort of connection. And that's usually the case when it comes to murder, is that there's a connection, right? That's why it happens. Usually based off emotions or emotionally driven, psychologically driven. Rarely do you see a guy just kill somebody else out the blue, right? Unless they're forced or paid to do it, right? Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office said, right, he was not believed to know his victim. This is Carl Grillmere. Let's keep going. 4 missing New Mexico scientists. These are the ones I've probably heard about the most, is the New Mexico scientists, including retired Air Force General who worked at Roswell site. Retired Air Force General William Neal McCaslin went for a hike on February 27th and never came back. McCaslin is one of 4 scientists who disappeared from New Mexico in the past year. The 68-year-old lived in Albuquerque foothills and left home with a .38 caliber revolver in a leather holster, his hiking boots, and a wallet, leaving his phone and glasses behind. Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office ruled out foul play, but conspiracy theories have exploded around McCaslin's case because he previously led the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Greene County, Ohio. And this Wright-Patterson Air Force Base I've heard about that a lot. Not necessarily with this case specifically, but also with other things as well. A site which conspiracy theorists have long linked to the 1947 Roswell alien crash landing tale. His wife, Susan McCaslin Wilkerson, said that connection has caused misinformation to spread and denied that he had classified or specialist knowledge about extraterrestrials or UFO programs. And I kind of talked about this whenever I talked about Jack Parsons and the Babylon working thing, when I talked about how Esau got the quote-unquote UFO technology. The Roswell crash, I didn't specifically speak on Roswell. I just said, it happened around a similar time. Right, it happened after the Babylon working spell. The thing that people say about the Roswell crash is that oh, it was alien bodies, and they crashed their ship. Which, if you know anything about, these UFOs, quote unquote UAPs, they don't operate like aircrafts do. As in, like, um they don't have like a what they call the not the steering wheel, but it's the thing that is in like helicopters and planes, right? They don't have that. That's not how you run them. All right, it's not really possible to crash them. All right, just to put it bluntly. All right, it's and when it comes to Area 51 and all that, which the other uh, 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 site that they say that the UFO went to, right? The Roswell UFO went to. It's an experimental Air Force uh, base, I guess. More a research center, more experimental aircraft being built there and tested there. All right, Area 51. It's not about aliens. It's about testing the new technology that they come up with. All right. And it's the same thing I've seen about Neil McCaslin. I haven't seen. Well, I guess some people have been speculating about. Oh, he knew about aliens, but really, when you start looking into McCaslin here, what he knew about was propulsion technologies. That's really what he knew about. All right. That was his field. That's what he did. It said Neil does not have any special knowledge about the ET bodies and debris from the Roswell crash stored at right pat. She wrote in a Facebook post last month. New Mexico scientists Melissa Casillas and Anthony Chavez, who both worked at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, are still missing. Los Alamos was the site of the U.S. government's top secret Manhattan Project in World War II to make a nuclear weapon before the Nazis. Also, Los Alamos is where I believe, I could be mistaken, but I believe Los Alamos is where Bob Lazar worked before he went to Area 51 and started, working on these and kind of reverse engineering some of this technology. Cassius disappeared June 26, 2025 from her hometown of Ranchos de Taos, approximately 65 miles from Santa Fe. The 53-year-old had dropped her husband off at the lab that morning, where he also works, before she returned home to work remotely after forgetting her employee badge, according to Taos News. When her daughter returned home that day, her mother's car was there, but she had vanished. Her phone, purse, and wallet were at home. All right, so phone, purse, and wallet were at home. So it seemed like she was abducted. People don't usually just leave without their phone, purse, and wallet these days and then just go missing. Like, that rarely happens. That's the sign, or a sign, I should say. That's a sign of an abduction. New Mexico State Police said there was no suspected foul play. Yeah, okay. Like, where's she at then? Where'd she go? Chavez, 79, has been missing since early May 2025, with a friend calling his disappearance extremely unusual. Chavez retired from the lab in 2017, where he worked as a foreman supervising construction at the site, according to CNN. A detective told the network that there were no indications of foul play, but also no signs that he was planning to leave. Now, with being 79, like, that's real dementia age, right? So that's actually very possible that he wasn't planning on leaving, but, in a dementia episode or Alzheimer's episode, he ended up wandering away. That does happen, all right? His car was locked and parked in his driveway. His wallet, car keys, and personal items were in his home. So it appears that he left his home with the intention of not being gone for more than a few minutes. Carl Buckland, who described Chavez as his best friend, wrote in a Facebook post last year, his disappearance is extremely unusual. Maybe he had no signs of dementia. Maybe he had his wits about him. I'm just saying, at that age, it's possible something like that happened. Elsewhere, Stephen Garcia, who worked as a government contractor at Kansas City National Security Campus in Albuquerque, has been missing since August the 28th. He left home with just a handgun and without his keys or phone. His work involved the production of non-nuclear components for nuclear weapons. And the site makes an array of national security products for the Department of Energy. An array of national security products. It could be a lot of different things. for the Department of Energy. Police told local media that there are no new developments in the case. You also got, oh yeah, Cassius had already talked about Cassius. It said murder of celebrated MIT nuclear scientist, genius, researcher suicide, and the death of a pharmaceutical biologist. I don't know. I don't know why it's tying these in. Maybe I don't know. I'll go ahead and read it because I think I heard about this as well, but I didn't think this was related. Anyway, 3 leading scientists died in tragic and violent incidents in the past 3 years, though there is no evidence linking them to any of the other cases. The death of a genius anti-gravity researcher, Amy Eskridge, in June 2022 was ruled a suicide from a self-inflicted gunshot wound by a coroner. Yeah, a self-inflicted gunshot wound in the back of the head. I'm just messing around, but that's the type of stuff that they'll say, though. A friend of the 34-year-old scientist, Frank Milburn, told News Nation that Eskridge, who lived in Huntsville, Alabama, believed she was being targeted for her work. Milburn claimed that Eskridge told him in a text message, "If you see any report that I killed myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I overdosed myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I killed anyone else, I most definitely did not." Right? So that's very, very suspicious. Clearly, she was not trying to take herself out, but someone wanted her gone. Her father, Richard Eskridge, a former NASA employee, dismissed the conspiracy theories around his daughter's death. "Scientists die also, just like other people," he told News Nation. "Yeah, but they called this one a suicide." And she said, "I'm not planning on suicide." And that's the thing about like these family members. I don't want to necessarily dismiss everything that they're saying because A, they may just want closure, right? So that's a possibility. B, if it is something larger going on where it's like, you throw the CIA out there, throw the Department of Defense out there, you throw, even if it was like, there seems to be like connections to NASA, which I feel like if they had something going on, they would outsource it. You know what I mean? If they wanted to get rid of people, they'd probably call like CIA or whatever. But if it's some like one of these entities, one of these governmental executive agencies or whatever, then they would get in contact with these people's families and say, "You better shut up. You better not say anything, or we'll come after you too," right? It wouldn't be hard for them to do that if they're already taking out people, right? But anyway, in December, Nuno F.G. Loureiro, a 47-year-old physicist and fusion scientist and MIT professor, was fatally shot at his apartment in Brookline, Massachusetts. Is that who this guy is? No. This is the guy who killed him. Yeah, his killer was later identified as Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, who was also found responsible for the Brown University mass shooting, which took place 2 days before Loureiro's murder. Valente and Loureiro attended the same university program in Portugal between 1995 and 2000. Valente was found dead in a New Hampshire storage facility on December 19th. His motives for killing Loureiro was never established. And that's a bit fishy as well. Though it could be possible that guy was a murderer and just, did a bunch of murders or whatever. But, it's like I said, it's fishy. The married father led MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. A police report released in February cited a colleague who told investigators that Loureiro had contacts at the Department of Energy. She wasn't aware if Loureiro had a top secret clearance or if he was doing any work with the Department of Defense, the report said according to CBS News. In March, the body of Jason Thomas, a biologist for pharmaceutical company Novartis, was pulled from a lake in Massachusetts. Thomas had been missing for 3 months before he was found in Lake Quannapowitt. I think that's what it says. By police, and his wife said he had been struggling to cope with the recent deaths of his parents. Thomas was not mentioned by name in the lawmaker's letter to the FBI, but they did cite a pharmaceutical researcher. So, and it's clear that like this article did not um, draw any kind of conclusions, right? They just kind of threw a bunch of facts out there. Um, but I don't think it doesn't appear that this pharmaceutical researcher would be related. They probably were just taken out by big pharma, if anything. Right? They may have found like a way to cure some disease that big pharma didn't want them to get out, so they took care of him. But that, of course, that's my speculation. It doesn't seem related to all the rest of this, because all the rest of this is like links to like the Department of Energy and like nuclear energy and perhaps the Department of Defense and perhaps military applications for their work. Um, perhaps propulsion technology that is nuclear in nature. That's what it would seem. Um, but yeah, like I said, whenever I started that article, I wish I had some answers to give you. I don't. I don't. It just seems like a lot of these scientists who have work in these fields are being taken out, probably by the some of these executive agencies of the U.S. It seems like they have secrets that they don't want people to talk about, right? That they understand how some of these technologies work, and if this word got out on some of these technologies, then that would be the end of forcing people to pay for these technologies, right? Or forcing people to pay for energy, basically. Um, yeah, it's weird. It's weird stuff going on, man. It's the wicked doing their wickedness. I mean, what else can you say? All right. Um, as far as killing the innocent, in Psalms 10, it said he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. So, of course, we use this to talk about. Honestly, this is so wide, such a wide net when it comes to Esau and his murders. Like he's always murdering somebody. Let's be real. It's always some kind of murder going on. All right, that Esau is behind. That whether you want to say the government is behind, the military is behind, whatever you want to call it, the Illuminati, which I don't really like using that term, just because it's kind of a catch-all term when this is way more messy and divided than just saying it's one group doing it. And we know, according to Christ, a house divided against itself shall not stand. That is describing the U.S. to a T. Right? It is very divided. Not only like outwardly when it comes to like political agendas, we think of like Democrats and Republicans, but also in these fruity little clubs that I mentioned. Right? It's the the Masons being one of them, the Bohemian Club being another one. What's the other? Skull and Bones is another one. We've got all these little fruity little clubs working, and they're working in secret, working with each. Jesuits would be another one. That's more than the U.S. though. That's like worldwide. You have all these fruity little clubs like working with each other, yes, but also against each other, right? It's shaking shaking your hand with one hand and preparing a knife to stab you in the back with the other. Like that's how they all operate. They're wicked. Of course, they're not gonna last, right? Any kind of deal that you do with the devil is not gonna last. It's not gonna go in your favor, right? And you have all these different devils doing deals with each other. It's never gonna last, right? It's just foolish and wicked. Anyway, it says he lieth and waits secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. Right? So it could have been something where, like, 'cause we read a couple of different cases where somebody just walked outside and, they were never heard from again. Right? So it could be something where, like, somebody's outside rustling in the bushes, you know what I mean? Making some kind of distraction outside. And then they just wait for the person to come outside and then abduct them. That seems to be what happened in a couple of different cases here. All right? So I'll keep reading here. So he croucheth and humbleth himself that the poor may fall by his strong ones. All right. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face. He will never see it. And see, like that's That's why, like, and we read in the article, like authorities are being asked about it, and like nobody knows. Like nobody knows. We're looking into it. Nobody knows. There's no all the all the like sheriffs and like local officials said things along the lines of, no security threat. There's no what it say. It said they didn't suspect foul play. We don't suspect foul play. We don't know. um, so that's the that's the whole they know something's going on, right? The local authorities probably received a very similar call, right? That I suspected some of the family members received as well, of like, hey, this is over your head. This is intelligence. Stop what you're doing. Cease your investigation, so to speak. All right. Arise, O Lord God, lift up thy hand, forget not the humble. Wherefore doth the wicked contemn God? He hath said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. Right? They think they can get away with stuff like this. All right. And David said, this is an act of them hating God. All right. I wanted to get to this point here in verse 14, where it says, thou hast seen it. The Most High has seen all of it. Right? You can hide from the eyes of men, but you cannot hide from God. All right? You can't do it. Judgment is coming for you. All right? Coming for this whole planet. It's going to be judged. All right? For thou beholdest mischief and spite to requite it with thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. All right? So those who are vulnerable. All right? That's a good word to describe, because it talks about the stranger, the fatherless, the widow. The Most High is the God of the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. All right? He's the God of He's the God of the vulnerable. All right? Put your trust in Him. All right? And He will deliver you. All right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Think about their story. They were foreigners. They were strangers and pilgrims in the earth. Right? And God looked after them because they committed themselves unto Him. All right? And He made a covenant with them. Break thou the arm of the wicked and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. All right. So David is saying, judge him for every evil thing that he's done. All right. All right. I'll read the next verse because it's just a beautiful verse. The Lord is king forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of his land. All right. So with that, I'll go ahead and read on the day of Simon. It's just 1 Maccabees 13. That's all I want is 1 Maccabees 13. That's where the day of Simon is implemented. And I believe that gives us the context of where we're at in that history as far as Simon and the role that he had to step into, the shoes he had to fill. I guess I'll start with chapter 2, just give you a little context of who the entire book of the Maccabees is about, actually. In 1 Maccabees chapter 2, it says, in those days, so this would be the days of like Antiochus Epiphanes. This is Antiochus the Fourth over Greece. All right. This was like during, what time period would this have been? This would have been like the early 2nd century BC. Right. So this would be right after the year 200, thereabout. Right. Like 180 BC, somewhere around in there. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jorib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons, Johanan, called Caddis, Simon, called Thassi. So this is the Simon that the day of Simon is named after, Simon, called Thassi. Also where you get the term Hasmonean family, from Simon Thassi. Judas, who is called Maccabeus. This is who the book of Maccabees is named after, Judas Maccabeus. All right. He was, the military leader of this family. He goes on. Mattathias names him such at the end of this chapter. I'll get to that here shortly. But also where the term Maccabean family or Maccabean era comes from is Judas Maccabeus. Eleazar, called Alvaron, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphis. All right, so you had Mattathias and his 5 sons. It talks about how they were the leaders of a righteous rebellion against the wicked Greeks who did all manner of evil in the land and polluted the temple. All right. So this is Mattathias on his deathbed. He says, "Wherefore, ye my sons, be valiant and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law. For by it ye shall obtain glory." Or by it shall ye obtain glory, right? So Mattathias told his sons, he said, look, stay in the laws of God, he'll give you glory, right? And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always, he shall be a father unto you. So that's really what we wanted. In the next verse, he talks about Judas Maccabeus being the captain of them. And he was the first captain of them. He was the first leader after Mattathias of this group of people who fought against this wickedness. It's where you get Hanukkah from. When the Hanukkah means dedication. It is the dedication of the temple that they made after they kicked out all the Greeks from it. Right? They took down all the idols that were in it, that the Greeks had placed in it, and they started restoring the temple to its former glory, so to speak. All right. But eventually, Judas Maccabeus died. All right, in battle. And even after that, Jonathan, I assume is the oldest. It mentioned him first. No, excuse me, Johanan. Johanan may have been the oldest. I don't know if this is necessarily in birth order. But Jonathan took over after Judas, and he was the leader of the people after Judas Maccabeus. But then Jonathan later died after being taken captive by the Greeks. And so now it's just Simon left, right? All his brothers had died by this point. So it says, now when Simon heard that Tryphon had gathered together a great host to invade the land of Judea and destroy it, and saw that the people was in great trembling fear, he went up to Jerusalem and gathered the people together and gave them exhortation, saying, Ye yourselves know what great things I and my brethren and my father's house have done for the laws and the sanctuary, the battles also and troubles which we have seen. By reason whereof all my brethren are slain for Israel's sake, and I am left alone. Now therefore be it far from me that I should spare my own life in any time of trouble, for I am no better than my brethren. Doubtless I will avenge my nation and the sanctuary and our wives and our children, for all the heathen are gathered to destroy us of very malice. Right? He said, I'm going to defend the people. All right. He said, look, all my brothers have died in battle. What kind of man am I to think I'm better than them? I will also defend the people to my death. Now, as soon as the people heard these words, their spirit revived. And they answered with a loud voice, saying, Thou shalt be our leader instead of Judas and Jonathan thy brother. Right? So now Simon is filling those shoes. Fight thou our battles, and whatsoever thou commandest us, that will we do. So then he gathered together all the men of war and made haste to finish the walls of Jerusalem, and he fortified it round about. Right? And he said, okay, we got to be prepared for Tryphon coming. All right? That's what it said, right? Tryphon? Yeah. Where are we at? Also, he sent Jonathan the son of Absalom, and with him a great power to Joppa, who casting out them that were therein remained therein it. Joppa being modern day Tel Aviv, right? That's what Joppa is. All right. So Tryphon removed from Ptolemais with a great power to invade the land of Judea, and Jonathan was with him in ward, in prison. So I believe they, as in Simon and the people, believe Jonathan is dead already, when technically he's not dead yet, he's just captured. But Ptolemais, I believe, is in Syria. I could be mistaken. It could be at the north of the Jordan. But it could be in Syria as well. Let me check the map. I'm pretty sure I got it on a map here. I may not. Y'all bear with me for a second. It's not super important, but it's north, right? It's north of the land of Judea specifically. It's north of Judea. So let's see if I got a Greek map here. Where is a Greek map? That's Seleucid Empire. I don't think that has cities. Does that have cities? Yeah, Y'all bear with me for a second. Oh, no, it does not, and it's very tiny anyway. So let's I have to zoom in and make everything blurry. Here's Greece divided. Perhaps Ptolemais is on this map. Where's Ptolemais? It's got Antiochia. It's got Damascus. Damn it. Let's see. Palestine during the time of the Maccabees. We got that here during the time of Christ, during the time of the Maccabees. Let's see if they got Ptolemais. If it ain't on here, I'm not gonna worry about it. You got Jezreel there, Shinnim, Kadesh or Hazor. Samaria, Mount Ephraim. Yeah, so I believe Ptolemais is in Syria, but I'm not gonna worry too much about it anymore. But Simon pitched his tents at Adida over against the plain. Now when Tryphon knew that Simon was risen up instead of his brother Jonathan, and meant to join battle with him, he sent messengers unto him, saying, Whereas we have Jonathan thy brother in hold, it is for money that he is owing unto the king's treasure concerning the business that was committed unto him, which is a lie, straight up. Jonathan never screwed anybody over in business. That'd be ridiculous. Wherefore now send 100 talents of silver and 2 of his sons for hostages, that when he is at liberty he may not revolt from us, and we will let him go. Hereupon Simon, albeit he perceived that they spake deceitfully unto him, yet sent he the money and the children, lest peradventure he should procure to himself great hatred of the people, who might have said, Because I sent him not the money and the children, therefore is Jonathan dead. Right? So this is the foresight that Simon has. You know, as Mattathias said, he's a man of counsel. He was a wise man. So he wasn't even going to try to get on the bad side of the people at this point. Right? He wanted all the people ready to fight. And this is kind of harsh, but just thinking about it strategically, if Tryphon offers this deal and Simon says no, Simon's the bad guy in the eyes of the people, right? Whereas if Simon gives up these 2 sons of Jonathan, right, and then Tryphon say like kills his sons, which I believe is what happened, then now the people are going to be even more enraged to go against Tryphon, right? So it's like I said, that's a bit cynical way to think about it, but that's like if you're a leader and a captain of the people, you got to think about these things strategically. All right. So he sent them the children and the 100 talents. Howbeit Tryphon dissembled, neither would he let Jonathan go. And after this came Tryphon to invade the land and destroy it, going round about by the way that leadeth unto Adora. But Simon and his host marched against him in every place wheresoever he went. Right. So they're just Tryphon and his forces are just trying to go around the forces that the battalions, the squadrons that Simon has set in place, but he can't get around them. All right. Now they that were in the tower sent messengers unto Tryphon, to the end that he should hasten his coming unto them by the wilderness and send them victuals. Wherefore Tryphon made ready all his horsemen to come that night, but there fell a very great snow, by reason whereof he came not. So he departed and came into the country of Galaad. I believe that's Gilead. That would be east of the Jordan. Right. And when he came near to Bascama, he slew Jonathan, who was buried there. Afterward, Tryphon returned and went into his own land. Then sent Simon and took the bones of Jonathan his brother and buried them in Modin, the city of his fathers. And all Israel made great lamentation for him and bewailed him many days. All right. Bewailed him many days. Simon also built a monument upon the sepulchre of his father and his brethren and raised it aloft to the site, with hewn stone behind and before. Moreover, he set up 7 pyramids, one against another, for his father and his mother and his 4 brethren. And in these he made cunning devices, about the which he set great pillars. And upon the pillars he made all their armor for a perpetual memory, and by the armor ships carved, that they might be seen of all that sail on the sea. Right, so Israelites always had the knowledge of like building pyramids. That's why when you go all over the world, you see pyramids all over the world. Here in the West, in the Far East, in Egypt, obviously. Some of them pyramids was in Egypt before we got there, but some of them we built. So this is the sepulchre which he made at Modin, and it standeth yet unto this day. At the time that they wrote this. Now Tryphon dealt deceitfully with the young king Antiochus and slew him. So this would be, I believe, Antiochus the fifth. I could be mistaken, but it's definitely not Antiochus Epiphanes. We're way past him at this point. And he reigned in his stead and crowned himself king of Asia, and brought a great calamity upon the land. Then Simon built up the strongholds in Judea and fenced them about with high towers and great walls and gates and bars, and laid up victuals therein. Moreover, Simon chose men and sent to King Demetrius, to the end that he should give the land an immunity, because all that Tryphon did was to spoil. Right, so Tryphon couldn't be dealt with, couldn't be reasoned with. Demetrius may be. Right, that's what Simon is thinking at least. Unto whom King Demetrius answered and wrote after this manner: King Demetrius unto Simon the high priest, a friend of kings, as also unto the elders and nation of the Jews, sendeth greeting. The golden crown and the scarlet robe which he sent unto us, we have received. And we are ready to make a steadfast peace with you, yea, and to write unto our officers to confirm the immunities which we have granted. And whatsoever covenants ye have made with you shall stand, and the strongholds which ye have builded shall be your own. As for any oversight or fault committed unto us, fault committed unto this day, we forgive it, and the crown tax also, which ye owe us. And if there were any other tribute paid in Jerusalem, it shall no more be paid. Right? So he said, we're not even worried about taxes. Right? So what you come to find out whenever you read the book of Maccabees, you read about Judas Maccabeus and his exploits. Right? He got a name for himself, not as in, he wanted to become, this guy of renown and, I want to be mighty in everybody else's eyes. He wanted to defend the law of God, and he was just the mightiest brother that we had doing it, right? And that's why he was made captain and leader of the people, right? So everybody around at that time heard the stories about Judas Maccabeus, right? How valiant he was in war, the exploits which he did, right? The armies, the multitudes, the thousands and thousands of people that he had overcome and slain in battle, right? So with that reputation, even after Judas Maccabeus died, Jonathan stepped into his stead and started to make political deals. Not even in a bad way. I just mean like treaties, right? Started to act a bit more strategically than Judas did. And I'm not saying Judas wasn't strategic, but that was not his area of expertise. His area of expertise was battle, right? Whereas Jonathan, he was a mighty man, and he was a strategic man, right? He was someone who was good at getting these deals done, right? And Simon, being the last one left, right? He's not only carrying the torch of Judas Maccabeus, right, being mighty in battle, but he's also carrying the torch of Jonathan, who was good at making peace, right? So Simon is kind of, facilitating both here. All right. Anyway, and look who are meet among you to be in our court. Let this is supposed to be them. Let them be enrolled, and let there be peace betwixt us. Right. So he said, send a couple of wise men to be counselors, as well. All right. Who can represent you in our councils. Thus the yoke of the heathen was taken away from Israel in the 170th year, of the Greeks, right, of the Greek Empire. Then the people of Israel began to write in their instruments and contracts in the first year of Simon the high priest, the governor and leader of the Jews. In those days, Simon camped against Gaza and besieged it round about. He made also an engine of war and set it by the city and battered a certain tower and took it. And they that were in the engine leapt into the city, whereupon there was a great uproar in the city. Insomuch as the people of the city rent their clothes and climbed upon the walls with their wives and children and cried with a loud voice, beseeching Simon to grant them peace. So notice, Simon, he took Gaza. He besieged Gaza, right? It's the same Gaza, same territory that the state of Israel is, laying waste to today, or have already laid waste to, I should say. They've already pretty much destroyed it, right? But look what happens when they ask Simon for peace, right? When Gaza says, hey, look, please Simon, hey, we're done. We don't want war. We want peace. Let's see what he does. Let's see what he does. And they said, deal not with us according to our wickedness, but according to thy mercy. So Simon was appeased toward them and fought no more against them. You see that right there? So Simon, as the righteous man that he was, he didn't just keep bombarding them. All right. Once these heathen who are in the land of Gaza, right? These aren't, the Israelites. These are other people who come and took Gaza from God's people. Because remember, the land that was given to the Israelites was from the Nile to the Euphrates, right? So technically, all that's ours, all right? But anyway, it says, so Simon was appeased toward them and fought no more against them, but put them out of the city and cleansed the houses wherein the idols were, and so entered into it with songs and thanksgiving, right? So he said, hey, y'all got to balance. Y'all want peace? Okay, you got to go, all right? And we're going to only have holiness in this land. We're going to put the idols out. We're going to serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in this land, all right? Yea, he put all uncleanness out of it, and placed such men there as would keep the law, and made it stronger than it was before, and built therein a dwelling place for himself. Right, so he had a house in Gaza as well. They also of the tower in Jerusalem were kept so straight that they could neither come forth nor go into the country, nor buy nor sell. Right, so these were the people on the side of Tryphon who said, "Hey, Tryphon, help us out." And Tryphon was trying to get to him, but he couldn't get to him because it was too hard for him. The forces of Simon kept him out. Plus, he run into some bad weather as well. All right. Nor go into the country, nor buy or sell. Wherefore they were in great distress for want of victuals, meaning lack of food. And a great number of them perished through famine. Then cried they to Simon, beseeching him to be at one with them, which thing he granted them. So again, the same type of situation where you see the state of Israel today is blocking aid from the people, right? Blocking food, right? Yet they won't stop doing that, right? Even if the people want peace, even if there are agreements of peace, the state of Israel won't abide by that. That's not what Simon did, right? When the people come to him asking for peace, he said, okay, you can have peace. We're just going to take the tower. All right? Beseeching him to be at one with them, which thing he granted them. And when he had put them out from thence, he cleansed the tower of pollutions, right? So that's the difference in those Idumeans over there versus the real children of God, right? Simon being of the priestly seed, of Aaron's seed. All right, the Levites would be like, Haitians and Papuans today, for example. All right, would be Levites. All right. Also, the Ashanti tribe of I don't know necessarily which country they're in Africa, but in West Africa. All right. He cleansed the tower from pollutions and entered into it the 23rd day of the second month. So that'd be the 23rd day of the second month, in the 171st year, with thanksgiving and branches of palm trees, and with harps and cymbals, and with viols and hymns and songs, because there was destroyed a great enemy out of Israel. Right? That tower, which was in Jerusalem, obviously that's in Jerusalem, right? That's the holy city, right? Any kind of uncleanness going on there is not only going to disturb the morale. I was trying to look for a word there. Morale, the mentality of the people who live there, who are trying to live in holiness, but also it disturbs the spiritual unity that we're supposed to have with the Most High, right? If there's uncleanness, if there's iniquity, if there's sin, idolatry going on within the holy city, right? Which we're so far removed. Since it was destroyed in in AD 70, right? We in 70 AD, we're so far removed from any kind of holiness in Jerusalem. But anyway, we'll get New Jerusalem one day. Lord's will, we're in that number. But they kept that day, the 23rd day of the second month, because there was destroyed a great enemy out of Israel. He ordained also that day should be kept every year with gladness. Moreover, the hill of the temple that was by the tower he made stronger than it was, and there he dwelt himself with his company. Right? Then it goes on to say that he kind of let John Hyrcanus, his son, take the reins. All right, and I've talked about that before with Bible History 101. But with all that being said, hope y'all learned something. I'm gonna go ahead and give the benediction. We're kind of coming. We're probably fully out of the day of Simon at this point already. But it's important that we know and understand our forefathers and the things that they have done to aid the people, to help the people. And we should celebrate these holy days with joyfulness and gladness. All right. Now, it didn't necessarily say the Day of Simon was a holy convocation, or that it was a Sabbath, or that anything special had to be done for it. But we still should remember these holy days that God has for us. All right. If you want to do something special for it next year, because it's the 23rd day of the second month every year. So, and I know there are people who are keeping. Who keep it like different calendars or whatever. So if it would still be in the future for you, in the near future. But the way that we have counted it, the way that we have reckoned it this year, we're entering the 24th day of the second month right now. So let's go ahead and get to this benediction. And Matthew 26. It says, "Now when Jesus was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, To what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, Why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also that this woman have done be told for a memorial of her. So all praises to the Most High for that sister. When you read John, it records his sister as being Mary, the sister of Lazarus. So all praises to the Most High for that sister doing a wonderful thing for our Lord. We keep that memorial anytime we preach the gospel. So with that being said, hope y'all learned something. I'm going to say shalom. Happy Sabbath, and let God be magnified.